Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Cinema Savvy. It is myself, George, joined once more by Tayte and Paul for another episode of our Harry Potter casting series. Of course, we are doing some fan casting with the HBO series in production somewhat. They're in the casting stages thanks to a Variety article from a few weeks ago. We've known there's an open casting call on the kids. And we're on the second of 3 episodes, as this week we are looking at heroes, family, and ministry personnel. That sounds way more militaristic than it's meant to be. But basically, it's the, hey, you're not a teacher, you're not a villain, you're in episode 2. And that's kind of how we've done today's one. First of all, how are we both doing today?
Doing good. Glad to see that the first video was well received and looking forward to casting some more characters today.
Yep, no death threat so far. So every day without a death threat's a good day.
Absolutely. And to the people at home, people watching, thanks to a lot of the people. We're recording this on the Monday before the Saturday. So the first few days, we had a lot of people commenting, a lot of people doing their own suggestions of things they love to see, which is great. One person found out that the series is being rebooted through our video. So I guess we're the bearer of good news, brackets maybe bad news if you didn't want to reboot, but here we are. It is happening. It's going to be on HBO. And yeah, we're just having a bit of fun and kind of the same with the first one. We do want to hear from people at home. So please do comment who you want to see in certain roles. Like the first one, we will timestamp each character we talk about. So if you just want to skip to ones you want to see, of course you can. But I suggest you watch the whole one because there's going to be some characters in this episode that no one's probably heard of. People that didn't make it from book or page to screen, I guess is the term. And there might be some surprises with names we pick for famous roles or maybe non-surprises. So it's going to be an interesting one. It's starting to formulate, I guess, the casting choices we're making. And as I said, people at home get involved. This is the part where I plug socials. And I'm just going to add a disclaimer. We have joined Blue Sky now. Scheduling site lets us sync to Blue Sky. Yes. But it's actually much better for sharing posts. It actually previews the links without needing to upload photos again. So Blue Sky is actually already great for doing the film side of things. So we are on there. I'm not going to plug every single social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd, and Blue Sky now. All of them are in our Linktree link in the description below. So if you want to find us on there, we'll be posting videos we're doing, stuff we've got planned. So yeah, it's just another social media for people to find us on if they want to start using that. But that being said, we are on to episode 2. I don't even know how this. Should we do the same as last time? Should we just round table it? George, Tayte, Paul, and just loop it round for the editing. We've got a list of characters. We've got, like the last one, maybe a couple of big names at the start, maybe a couple of big names at the end. But as I said, we are doing our best. And akin to the first one, we are not casting any of the student roles. So they are in I guess in the consciousness of, yes, they're going to cast children for them. And with that being said, there may be some picks today where maybe one of us or two of us or all three of us haven't chosen to cast someone. Like what, Paul, you mentioned with Flitwick in the first episode. You want an unknown, somebody new. We are doing that. That's not something that's been made up. We've known this from day one. We're doing this for some roles. So you might get that from a couple of us. You might not. So I believe that's all the, not rules as such, but that feels like the main gist out the way. Have I missed anything, guys?
No, that's pretty much it.
Okay, lovely. Right, so let's get cracking. First off, I mean, we put family in it, probably for 3 characters, really. James Potter, who will be in all... Is he in every book? I know he crops up in the first in the mirror, the 4th in the graveyards, 5th in photos, 6th... No, sorry, the 7th in the stones. So basically, Lily and James are characters that would, in theory, crop up throughout the 7 seasons. Whether it's like a day of filming a year, who knows?
I think you could expand them as well. You know, like we were saying with the founders, you can expand those roles. I feel like if we wanted to go the Last of Us route, you know, where you start with like 15 years ago, you could do some stuff about, you know, the night and things. I think a lot of that you could expand on them a bit more and do a bit more with
especially
them,
the Snape stuff.
Exactly.
The 5th one, what we mentioned, it's got all the flashbacks, hasn't it? Of course, when they're younger. So, yeah, that would be this is a good idea. There's a lot they could do with that. And we have some other characters that pop up that you guys think, why are we casting this random person? Oh, they get a whole segment to themselves. So, yeah, that's how we're going to play this. So, James Potter first. Sorry, guys, I'm in the unknown route, and the reason I'm doing this is because they died at the age of 21 in the book, which is kind of crazy, and that's the whole purpose. Is the fact that it reflects itself in the seventh book that all these people are dying so young, at such a ridiculously young through this killer. So I'm sticking that with my James pick. I'm just going to add a disclaimer, but I'm also putting Lily as an unknown. The reason why, I'd like them to cast their Harry, and then after that point, go and get the actor and actress you'd like. Whether they go younger than 21, so when they're doing 7 years, they don't look 30 when they're meant to be playing themselves at the age of 21. I don't know. So do a cop out, but my first two, I've not cast anyone. I'm going unknowns.
Hilariously, I've gone with someone without really realizing their age. I've gone purely based on what I picture them as in my head. And they will always be pictured in my head as a young person because I feel like they've been playing younger characters for years. And the voice that comes with this actor who plays James Potter is just the most lovable voice on the planet. So I've ended up going with Ben Whishaw because he looks like he would be Harry Potter's dad. Doesn't matter that he's 44 years old, which was a shock to me when I just found out. He looks 20. He looks 20. So
Paddington Potter,
exactly. And we'll do the double barrel here. I've gone with who everyone would probably want to be their mum, and that's Karen Gillan. Going with the ginger hair as well. I think those two would make a Harry Potter shaped baby. So, I think that's the Paul's facial reaction off that. I think
Ben Whishaw.
For some reason, I just imagined a baby in the shape of a lightning bolt. Little Harry Potter shit. It's a lightning bolt, baby.
But Ben Whishaw and Karen Gillan playing James and Lily Potter, I think, in my head, that works out. But I know they're both a lot older than 21, what they should be age-wise.
Yeah, I mean, I would also go for unknowns with the great big asterisks. If you're going to spend 7 seasons going, you have your mother's eyes every time someone looks at Harry, can they have the same fucking eye colour, please?
You have your mother's eyes.
Contacts exist
every film.
You have
Didn't they try
eyes.
that? Is that the?
You don't know. It's so. What? When the climax of your 8th movie, of your 7th book, is a dying man grabbing the person he's bullied and emotionally saying, "Look at me," so that he can look into the eyes of the woman he loves one final time, going, "You have your mother's eyes," and they're a different colour.
The wildest thing is, I believe they tried to put contacts on Daniel Radcliffe, and they pulled them out straight away. Well, this is it, right? Why would you put it in the lead actor who's going to be in 8 films of contact lenses versus the mum who's going to have 2 or 3 cameos?
Yeah.
No, I'm glad you brought that eyes up. That's something they will have to.
It's just that one thing.
If they don't get it right, it will be funny though. If they don't do that, it will actually be really funny.
It will be funny, but it is just that thing of. And also, you don't even have to do contacts anymore. You can just change eyes with computers. It's what they did in the Twilight movies. The first one, they all had to wear the contacts, and apparently it was like Robert Pattinson was like, "I am blind now." Like, it irritated his eyes so much. And then in the second one, they were like, "Shall we do it with computers?" Yeah, do it with computers in case we blind our lead actor and all the supporting actors quit, because they were like, "These things are awful, man. They hurt so much." But yeah, that is my one thing. But I would go for cast your Harry, and then maybe find some parents with the same icon.
Lovely.
Isn't it meant to be emerald green? Is that not the thing? She's got these really emerald green eyes, and then I swear Daniel Radcliffe's is
It's blue, isn't it?
Oh, it's blue or something. Brown? It was just very funny, but yes, just the eye thing. It's a major plot point, guys. It's not pedantry. It's a major plot point.
No, I'm with you. I mean, there's 2 parents. Let's go for one of who are. I'll put them on the thumbnail so everyone knows what mine is. But one of the biggest picks we're each going to have today, and this is kind of fun because last episode we did Lupin. Today we've done James, unknown for me, but Paddington for Tayte. We've got Paddington and we had Andrew Garfield for your Lupin. Yeah. So we've got a Paddington and a werewolf. We've got bears going galore.
It's Paddington and Spider-Man so far.
But we're going to cast Sirius Black, one of the most important roles in the whole series. Now, You might be wondering. I mean, he's going to obviously be in the third season primarily onwards, but they could put him in the first season. And the reason why, I'm sorry to go into this tangent, but we're casting him anyway. But for people that are curious, he's very, very different in the books to the films. The films, you get Gary Oldman, one of the greatest actors of our time, one of the best actors this country's ever produced, one of the best villainous actors this country's had. Turn him into a hero with this. And with him having obviously one scene in 4 via the fireplace, fifth film obviously killed off. They really, really had him for 2 and a bit films, cameo in the 7th one too. But the books, there's way more of him across those 3 books. Like in the 4th one, he's like hiding out at Hogsmeade with Buckbeak. Like there are scenes, I'm pretty sure, I don't know if it's the third, no, it's definitely the 4th. They go into like caves near Hogsmeade to try and get to, and they get scenes with him. And I get why that sort of thing can't be in the films, because it's timing, it's the Triwizard Tournament film. But there is clearly much more of this character to show. And actually, the book character is not anywhere near as good as the film in terms of morale. He is hot-headed, he is rash, he is a lot like James, and he's also a lot like Harry. He's not actually the best parental figure, although he would have been a terrible father if he raised him himself. You got to think he's brushing aside these decades of family hatred where he's been like disowned by his own family and he's wanted to leave them. So you need to cast an actor who certainly can do a mature performance, but also have the lightness and the darkness within him. So I want to try and get a heavyweight. And like I'm doing with my Marauders, I've obviously tried to cast them. I know Andrew Garfield's 40, let's be honest, he looks 20. I've gone for the younger, let's have the 4 Marauders at similar ages as they're meant to be with Snape. I've put Daniel Kaluuya in. And this is something that I really didn't think about until he's one of the best young British actors. He's already won an Oscar. He's won a BAFTA, I believe, as well. I don't know if he's won an Emmy or if he's done TV yet, but I was just thinking, okay, I need somebody that can do that light-sided stuff, can have the patience and the care, who's quite young, is being thrown into being a parent. But then I need somebody that's just going to have this untempered rage. And a lot of that will come down to facial expressions. And Get Out's the obvious one people are going to look at, right, of facial expressions of his. But actually, I look at things like Nope. And I think Nope's actually almost a better film, not better film than Get Out, but a better film for what I'm looking for with my Sirius Black. So I've put Daniel Kaluuya in. It's an interesting one. And as I said, I'm sort of sticking with... When the 4 Marauders are done, it might make a bit more sense. Because I guess Peter Pettigrew's in the 3rd episode, so we're not doing him next, people. He is not a hero. But I'm just curious if you guys are gone for, because obviously mine's a thumbnail, that's fine. But also, he's got to be able to pull off the rich side of things, which Gary Oldman did well, and Daniel Kaluuya has effortless style. Put him in some of the weird wizarding clothes, he's going to look superb when you get him out of Azkaban. And the Azkaban scenes, and that's something I want to see. I want to see not just the escape from Azkaban, I want to see more of him in that 3rd film as this disgruntled, like, crazy person.
I like that pick. I like the idea that I think with the gravitas that Gary Oldman brought to Sirius Black, I'm pretty sure all of us are going for like high-end actors who are up for either Oscar nominations or up for awards a lot of the time. My pick as well has gone down a kind of similar route, but I've gone for Dev Patel instead. And the reasoning behind going for Dev Patel is that the visualization of me seeing him in Azkaban is the visualization of me seeing him in films like Monkey Man and The Green Knight, where he is very bearded up, he is very, very kind of battle-worn and everything like that. Yet we also know that he can play the calmer, quieter moments in films such as Lion, in his earlier work, like Working from Skins, and just like Daniel Kaluuya, part of that generation that's growing up, we absolutely need to raid as many Skins characters as possible because they all turned out to be fantastic actors. I genuinely believe Dev Patel could portray that role really well, portray the serious side, portray the more kind of violent side to that character, but also the calm moments as well.
Yeah,
I like it.
I've not gone for a Skins actor. Break tradition. I've gone for someone who's actually, I think, a bit on the up and up. He's a bit of a rising star. You know, like you say, the book version of Sirius is someone who is a bit more hot-headed, a bit more somebody who would be like, yeah, I'll take on, Wizard Hitler. Let's do it. And you're a bit like, mate, you're 21 years old. You're not going to take on Wizard Hitler. You're going to get killed, son. What are you talking about? And that kind of thing. I'm like, yeah, no, it's fine. Let's start up the Order of the Phoenix again. That went so well last time. Only killed half of us, and the other ones ended up in mental hospitals. Let's do it. So I've gone for someone who has proven himself a phenomenal actor, but this might be the role that makes him the big time. I've gone for Cosmo Jarvis, who people might know from a film called Calm with Horses, or most recently, Shogun, the fantastic series on Disney Plus. He's if you've seen him in Shogun, where he washes up in Japan, and he looks dishevelled, he looks sort of homeless. I think he's got an intensity in just the way, just his features. If you look at his face, he's got like these quite deep set eyes that I personally think would work really well and would play off my choice for Lupin, Paul Mescal. I think the two of them, I'm thinking of that scene in The Shrieking Shack. I'm thinking you need somebody who, feasibly you can buy as the serial killer dark wizard, but then can also play the more heroic side. Actually, he's not a bad guy. He's actually one of the good guys. So Cosmo Jarvis is my pick.
I've only seen him in Peaky Blinders when he came into it
also
on the
in Peaky
later
Blinders,
seasons.
yeah.
But if you look at him in Peaky Blinders, it's that, I'm not calling it wizard costume, is it? But it's that old costume designs from the century before, and it actually looks very good. And the key to this character is the light and the dark, and you kind of, I could wax the record about Gary Oldman for hours, but it's one of the most perfect castings because we didn't know it as kids, but he was the British bad guy. Like, if they'd have been, I was too young to ever know it, but I'd have loved to have been around when they were casting these films. And that's what I'm excited for when they do the series. If I'm honest, the casting to me is more exciting than the actual shows themselves, because I can't wait to see what actors they're going to put in these roles. And could you imagine doing this? It's like when Dune was being done, and it was like, we've just put Batista in. Oh, look, up and comers, let's get Austin Butler in, let's get Florence Pugh in. And can you imagine, like, Harry Potter and the Early Noughties was like, yeah, Sirius Black is going to be played by Gary Oldman. Everyone would have been like, fuck, perfect, let's move on. Like, the whole casting cycle is going to be, especially when you get to, I think, Azkaban onwards, dependent, again, I mentioned he could be in the early ones. For Sirius Black, the Harry's photo book, what Hagrid gives him at the end of the first film? There is a photo of Harry on a broomstick at the age of 1, and Harry never knew who the bloke is. 2 years later, he finds out who the bloke is. It was Sirius Black the whole time. So he knew of him, and opening scene on the prologue, Hagrid's like, oh, Sirius lent me his bike to use for today. Obviously, that wasn't said in the original film, but he was always there. Like, he was written in early. And it's something I'm really curious to see. Do they want to develop him a bit more pre-Azkaban? But yeah, also the Azkaban posters is like also the selling point, let's be honest, guys, because they look fucking radical. But if we move on from Sirius Black, we go straight into Goblet of Fire. This one's going to be a bit more all over the place. Certain characters cropping up in different ones. I guess the professors, they're pretty much in all of them, bar the Dark Arts ones. But we're going for Ludo Bagman. And again, for those unfamiliar, he is one of the most important characters in the Goblet of Fire who didn't make it to the films. He is the head of the magical gaming, basically the Whistling version of the FA. And he is like an ex-Quidditch legend. He's good as golden to the entire public's eye. Yet he very questionably helped Voldemort before he died, claiming it wasn't his fault, he did it by mistake. But essentially, he's a sly one. So sly that he's riddled in debt to goblins, to Fred and Percy, to Fred and George Weasley by the end of the film. Serious gambling addict, head of Quidditch, and he is responsible for the whole of the Triwizard Tournament. It's his department's job is to make those games and do those things. So it's a really important character. And for anyone even more curious that doesn't know this side of things, when the Wizarding War happens from 6 onwards, the goblins side with Voldemort because Ludo Bagman owed them so much money. They're like, fuck the humans, we're going with Voldemort to get our money back. That's the sort of role this person has. So it's a really important one season and done. And I've looked at this premise as, okay, we need an ex-sports person who became a bit of a shit politician. And all I could think about is David Beckham. I'm clearly not casting David Beckham, don't get carried away. But it's like the Harry Potter version of David Beckham, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, it's basically that. So I've gone for sort of like, okay, who could I picture been on a broomstick, been a professional for 20 years, took up a political role to be the face of something, and have a bit of a sly side, but you like him, so you let him get... He basically escaped Azkaban because he was a Quidditch player, and they loved him. I'm putting in Henry Cavill. I think he'd fucking nail it for one season. And it's the jock. It's the jock, isn't it? You're in for a year. Everything's kind of your fault that comes afterwards. But there you go.
I have that's hilarious because I've gone so far in the other direction because
Fine.
I listened to my dad reading me the books when I was a kid. I haven't read them since. I had no idea who this character was. So I went deep into research, finding out different character traits of Ludo Bagman and various different things. And what popped up was they were in their prime, but now they've definitely kind of come out of their prime, and we're seeing them at that stage. They're sly, conniving, but also like the word kind of wicked and cackling got thrown around a lot. And I was thinking about different actors across the board who could play that role, who would have that blonde hair, that kind of smirk, and that just sense of just being better than everyone else in every single conversation they have. And I genuinely could not think of another actor who could play it better than Eddie Izzard. And I don't mind if Eddie Izzard plays it as Eddie Izzard or whether he goes full into drag for it. I think that would be a fantastic role, and that would add an extra element into it.
Nice.
Okay. Izzard may reappear. For me, I've thought kind of a sleazy politician, someone who you can feasibly believe was, a great athlete. And also, I'm just thinking, who would have fun in this role? Who would enjoy themselves? So I've gone for Tim Roth. One of our great actors. I love Tim Roth. The sort of fun he was having in She-Hulk. I know people don't like She-Hulk, but reprising that villainous role, but a bit more of a comical side. He's got great comedy timing, but he doesn't get to do it often. And I think that he could have a lot of fun just sort of cropping up every once in a while, being a bit, sleazy, a bit unreliable, but also someone that you can feasibly believe was good at sport at some point and now has gotten a bit older and a bit more tired.
Yes, I can see that. Mm.
See, we're going to get more characters which people, if they haven't not read the books, but the series is going to be the most authentic ever, whatever that tagline is. We're going to see a lot of these people, and I think, some of them like this have to be there because it is integral. And even going with Ludo Bagman, it's obviously Harry gives the winnings of the cup to Fred and George to make the shot, but actually, if they basically put a humongous bet on at the Quidditch World Cup, won it, they basically bet on Ireland to win, but Crumb to catch the snitch. And that's what they betted with Bagman, and he basically evaded them for the entire year at Hogwarts because they owed him so much. He owed them so much money. So you can have a lot of fun with it, as you said. There's a bit of comedy to come with it too. But next up, we've got a character, Bertha Jorkins, who is also responsible for Voldemort's rise to power in this film. She went travelling in the summer between Azkaban and Goblet of Fire and went missing. And she's apparently the clumsiest ministry official. She sits in his department, and she just stumbles into the forest or location to which a bit more comes with Barty Crouch. But essentially, she is seen at Barty Crouch Sr.'s house to give some papers about the Triwizard Cup, sees Barty Crouch Jr. when he's meant to be in Azkaban. So they basically sort of, I can't remember, they sort of kidnap her and don't let her leave type thing. But apparently they just, Ludo Bagman just pretends that she didn't disappear because she's clumsy, she'll turn up eventually. That's either how dumb he is. And I've kind of gone for this something a bit different. I'm looking for someone who's not necessarily clumsy. I want someone who's switched on. And the reason I want someone switched on, I want someone with a bit more, not gravitas. I don't want a bumbling younger actress, essentially, to make them look really thick. I kind of like it that they're switched on and they got caught. And it's Ludo Bagman playing the political game to basically be like, no idea what happened there. So I've put Hayley Atwell in. Now, it's only for a couple of episodes, but I'm running with a really maybe deranged idea that Bertha Jorkins is maybe the side piece of Ludo Bagman. And that her going missing isn't necessarily bad, because it is, but it's that, like, he doesn't want people to find out they were an item. that's a completely fictional thing in my head, and that's where the Henry Cavill pairing comes from. It's he's kind of like shit. She's gone missing at the same time as like, I can't really afford to be seen to care for this. But ultimately, Barty Crouch Jr. takes her, so does Wormtail, and that's how Voldemort gets all the info about the Triwizard Cup. For those that ever wanted to know that. Lots of political... Goblet of Fire is probably the most underrated one in terms of the political side of things, and I get why they couldn't do that on film.
I'm hoping they expand upon that when they... After doing all the research for the different cast effects, I kind of hope that given more time and at least a 10-episode run per series, they could maybe really stretch out the story in that way. Once again, I went for a very different pick. I literally, with Bertha Jorkins, I tried wrapping my head around the character. With a lot of these characters, when I was doing research, people have made mock-ups of what they might look like, and then I have something to base myself off on. Bertha Jorkins had no mock-up. The only information I had was that she was a slightly plump woman. That's all I had. And I was like, okay, let's pick an actress who'd probably do the role quite well. I saw the word ditzy get thrown around her name as well, so I went with Nicola Coughlan, who has been fantastic in recent years, has had resounding success in Bridgerton, but I know her from Derry Girls. She's in the Doctor Who Christmas special. She's a fantastic young actress, and yeah, it kind of fits that role in my head at least.
Nice.
Yeah, I've gone for someone where kind of I wanted someone that you would like when you meet them, an actress that has warmth, can probably do some comedy at the start, with the clumsiness, and then when she's gone, you actually think, oh, actually, she's quite nice. But I hope nothing bad happens. So I've gone for Wimney Mosaku, who people will probably best know from Loki and Deadpool and Wolverine. She was also in the fantastic His House. She's been in Luther. She's in loads of stuff. She's a fantastic actress. And, it'd be a small role for her because, her plate's pretty loaded at the moment because she's very in demand. And I just think that it would be one of those roles where once she's gone, you would care that she's gone because you'd enjoy her presence so much. So once she's gone, you'd miss her.
Mm.
Oh, I like that. It's interesting because again, it really depends what the show wants to do, and I think that's why today's video and next week's video is going to be different because we don't know at this point what the structure is. We know the teachers, sure, you'll teach them, and some of you are going to be guest stars for a year. But yeah, we're kind of sticking with Goblet of Fire for a little bit more. We've got Barty Crouch Sr. next. Now, Junior, I've put in the final episode as a Dark Wizards. Part of me wishes I put him in this because we're on a Goblet of Fire hype, but at the same time, it's fine because he's a Dark Wizard and it balances the episodes a little bit better. But Barty Crouch Sr., of course, runs the Triwizard Tournament, politician. For those that weren't aware, he was basically like guaranteed to be the next Minister for Magic. But Barty Crouch Jr. being found out to be a Death Eater basically wiped out his chances of getting it, and then it went to Fudge. So there's a character there who's basically a bit disappointed that he spent his whole life playing the political game perfectly, and his son cost him at the very last moment. So that's where I'm basing this off. I want someone I've gone for a very young Junior for the next one, as young as he probably could be, like late 20s. So I'm going with an actor who's in their sort of late 40s, early 50s. And it's, as I said, it's a recurring role right across one season. He gets killed by Junior and is transfigured into a bone and is never found. Insane. I'm putting Christian Bale in because I want someone who has a bit of gravitas, who can play the political game, who can do the sort of not disappointed, broken old man, but look at sort of the end of The Prestige, where it's the twin and his brother's been killed, and it's that physically, mentally weaker Christian Bale. Not I say physically weaker Christian Bale, not machinist. I'm not talking weight. I just mean physical in movements. But I think Christian Bale would crush it. It probably wouldn't happen, but I just think I love the politicians, and that's what's going to be a recurring. That's why I was really excited to put Ministry of Magic on this, because I love casting the politician side of things. I think there's a wealth of great English talent, British talent, who can play a lot of these roles.
So what you said to describe Barty Crouch Sr. as a person who played the political game, but was then his family basically let him down. As soon as I kind of went for this character, my mind immediately went to Game of Thrones. Of course it did, because that's, the political game. And to think of a character whose political game was kind of dealt a bad hand from the rest of his family, you can look at Stannis Baratheon and Stephen Delane. because my God, what an actor! He was brilliant as well in Alex Rider, so he was an easy pick for me. But I feel like he looks the part and would play the part very well in that sense.
Great pick. The rightful king.
The rightful king.
Yeah, no, I like that pick a lot. For me, I've gone for someone who, yeah, you want some gravity to him when he shows up. When he says it the whole thing where he goes, "What do you say?" and he says, "The goblet is a binding magical contract." And also that bit, that nice bit where he kind of said, I love Roger Lloyd Pack. I love British sitcoms. I thought he was great as Barty for the movie. And that bit where he says, it's not easy losing family members, never quite whole again, are we? That you want something where you can kind of see there's a bit of pain to him in having to do that to his son. So I've gone for someone who is great at playing authority, not a stranger to television, not a stranger to fantasy. I've gone for Anthony Stewart Head. Anyone who knows me knows that I love Buffy the Vampire Slayer. We had to get some Buffy in there. Anthony Stewart Head. He's great. And also I'm thinking of him as Uther Pendragon in Merlin.
Yeah.
That kind of authority he has. I just think he would be a great Barty Crouch. When he's introduced,
I'm going to talk about him later. I'm going to talk about him later. Oh, yeah. Great actor.
More Buffy. Yeah, I love.
I was thinking of Doctor Who. I always remember seeing Doctor Who first before Buffy.
Great in that episode of Doctor Who as well.
I'm already the Return of Kanan. I'm already loving this. How do we move? I mean, for anyone actually, I'm going to say one last thing about Barty Crouch Sr. For those that don't know, his wife's dying wish. I should have put her in as a guest, right? Well, his wife's dying wish is to get her son out of Azkaban. So as she's dying, she basically takes the Polyjuice potion of her son, goes in for a visit, switches with him for eternity, and that's why Barty Crouch is out of Azkaban. I should have actually said that earlier. He technically was the first person to escape Azkaban, but they never knew. And because Dementors are blind, they obviously feed off fear. They'd never have known that it was swapped, and he died soon after. So, again, the Goblet of Fire is probably, if you take all 7 books, it's actually a mystery. The entire book, the crux is who the hell is Barty Crouch Jr. That's literally what that book is, which I think lends itself to Telly really good. But we move aside from a bit of politics. Now we're going to bring in, I say, some heavy hitters. We're going to go for some maybe voice actors, maybe some motion capture characters, because this is the Heroes episode. And we're going to talk about a couple, one of which is very familiar to people at home, 2 of which may be new. But first up, we've got Winky the House Elf. For those that are aware who Winky is, this is more Order of the Phoenix onwards. There's a terrible subplot, which unfortunately is probably going to end up making it to TV still, called Spoo, where Hermione, for those that don't know, have you ever wondered, sorry, I'm laughing because it's that bad. Have you ever wondered how Hogwarts prepares all their food and all their feasts? They have basically house elves running their kitchens downstairs, and Dobby goes to work at Hogwarts after. And in the 5th book, Hermione finds all this out and becomes not a politician, but she basically goes to end house elves as basically end slavery. It's meant to be that. And when that so happens eventually, the house elves, they don't want to be freed. They like cleaning the kitchens. They like making the food. So Spoo is what it's called. It's a humongous part of the 5th book. But within that, Winky becomes an important character for sort of 2 or 3 books. She sticks around. She's basically an alcoholic house elf.
I forgot.
And I've gone. It's bad. It's bad, isn't it? It's very bad.
Oh my God! I forgot.
It's so distracting. It's so distracting from the rest of the book.
It's not even just that. It's such a bad handling of a metaphor for racism. It's so. We don't want to be freed. They get a salary eventually, but yeah. So for those unfamiliar, we've got 3 house elves to do today, but Winky's up first. Why do they need to prepare the food? It's magic. It should just appear by magic. Why does it have to be prepared by slaves?
And they've got magic as well. I know, but they love it though. Apparently they love it, and this is it. So it becomes. I think Hermione goes on a hunger strike. Like it's a humongous part of that 5th book for no reason.
I do remember that. I remember that subplot, and I remember even as a kid going, "What is going on?"
As a kid, it's worse as an adult.
Why is there a whole bloody Amazing Grace Schindler's List style, we are the people, Plymouth Rock didn't land on us, Malcolm X bullshit going on in my magic book, JK.
Are we able to pull back in Ralph Fiennes for that bit, or?
Oh my god!
Well, yeah, it's seriously Winky though. I'm doing a double act with her and Dobby. I'm putting
Okay.
Kathy Birkin as Winky.
Ooh,
Because
love that
again,
already.
and when we get to Dobby, Dobby's prevalent. He doesn't just pop up in the second one, and the seventh one. He's in all of them. Like a lot of Dobby stuff was given to Neville actually in the films. Different conversation. We'll get to that. But yeah, Winky the house elf. I'm putting Kathy Birkin. It will make sense in 5 minutes.
I went with who could make a voice of a house elf, because I really didn't know much about Winky as a character at all. And just from kind of like not just being on set with this person in Sex Education, but just seeing what she's done with her career after Sex Education, Tanya Reynolds makes great voices. She does very good impressions, and she does very, very high-pitched voices as well. So, I mean, that was a bit of personal experience thrown in there, but she would always make people giggle by going super high-pitched. People may know her as the weird one from Sex Education, which, I mean, Sex Education has some weird characters, but she is the weird one in Sex Education. And yeah, I can imagine her face doing mocap for it. I can imagine her doing the high-pitched voices. So that's where I went in that direction.
I like that. Yeah, for me, I also, a lot of my casting, I'm thinking, there are underlying metaphors and, things in the Harry Potter series. Certain species stand in for certain things. And I was thinking, I'd quite like some people of colour to voice the elves because it is a slavery thing. So I kind of thought, well, you know what? And also, this is an actress who I love. I think she's great. She's an absolute staple of British entertainment. I've gone for Mira Sayal. I love Mira Sayal. I love the Kumars. Very funny show. Everything she's done, even her more. And the thing is, she's also done drama. She's done dramatic stuff as well. And I think she's very good at modulating her voice for different things. And I think she could have a lot of fun with that role. And it would just be great to get Mira Sayal in the Harry Potter franchise. I think she's great.
And that's what I like with this one is that you can get because she got a BAFTA fellowship the other year. I remember when it came up on the news.
Yeah,
but it's
absolutely.
one of them where what you mentioned, bringing the race thing as well, and kind of in a non-weird way, the working class type thing even adds to it a bit more. Like, I mean, my picks might be hypocritical when we get to it, but like the thing I wanted with Kathy Burke was not just, again, references coming shortly, but it's the background of her within these, and it's not like, oh, they're slaves, have been through it. She hasn't, but it's an interesting one. Should we get to Dobby? I should start with Dobby.
Let's go to Dobby.
As I said, everyone knows who Dobby is. They know his ending, but he's prevalent in all of them. Particularly in 4. The Gillyweed stuff is all Dobby. 5th, Spoo. 7th, he's actually with Griphook. Not Griphook, Kreacher a lot. Sorry, there's too many goblins and house elves. But doubling up with Kathy Burke, who does everyone think of? Of course, it's Kevin and Perry. So I'm putting Harry Enfield in.
Ooh,
because
like
when I first thought about Dobby, if I'm honest, this is wild speculation, I'd guarantee they actually get Toby Jones to come back. I feel like that's one of the actors they'll go for, irrespective, is try and get back. Don't know whether he'd do it though, but I want British comedian who has not been around the block, but I want someone that could have not play the idiot well. But if anyone that's seen the sketch shows of these two, I just think the idea of bringing back Kathy Burke and Harry Enfield together via a screen, via TV, at some point down the line would be great. But Harry Enfield is the name I came up with first, and that's where Kathy Burke came from. And then it will make sense that I've gone for a complete opposite for my Kreacher later, who isn't tied to them. But I think Harry Enfield, he doesn't do enough. Get him back. Like, he's a legend. And it's the softly spoken voice as well.
He is great. He is so... I used to love him in Skins, where he played the Stonehams' dad.
Yeah.
He used to be great in that. And Harry Enfield and Chums is a great sketch show. That's a great pick.
There's a lot of theatre still. He does a lot of theatre, so he's still active. He hasn't really done much film and TV was.
So I went for the voice. I went purely for the voice. And I know it's very, very hard to, compete, but I think I found someone. Once again, pillaging the British TV landscape that is BBC back in the early 2000s. Going back to Being Human, which we've already mentioned in the previous episode, which is a fantastic show which everyone should watch, and also
Absolutely.
every now and then dipping into Doctor Who, and also getting he's got a new series coming out to do with Doctor Who as well. Russell Tovey. Every single time he panics, he sounds like Dobby. It's just one of those things that he has as an actor. In every single project he's been in, from years and years all the way through to Being Human and Doctor Who, Russell Tovey would make a great kind of voice for Dobby. I wonder if we could use his face as well, because he's got quite large.
He's got the ears.
He's got the ears, exactly. So could we make use of that as well and really kind of make Dobby into him and him into Dobby? That's my question.
I like that. I like that a lot. For my Dobby, I've gone again. Actor of colour. I've gone for a comedian, and I've gone for someone with a very distinct voice. Because I'm thinking how distinct Toby Jones's Dobby was. So I've gone for Richard Ayoade. Because he's got quite a distinct voice, hasn't he? Actually, Harry, I don't think you should be going back to Hogwarts. It's a bad idea. Harry has given me a sock. Harry has made me a free elf.
Oh
I don't.
my
God. I think he'd be great in the role. You'd get a lot of comedy out of him, but I just love Harry must not go back to Hogwarts. I've said it, Harry. You're not doing it. It's done now. I think it could be a lot of fun to have Richard Ayoade voice.
I could have done the IT crowd as your trio.
You could have. I feel like, Paul, your Harry Potter series has a lot of kind of dry humour just randomly thrown in there, just like very bland.
Oh, mine would. Mine 100% would. Yep. You're not going back. No, I've already said it. I've locked the door. You're staying here with your abusive uncle. Sorry.
Excellent. That's it.
Love it.
It's the voice. Right.
It's all the voice. It's all the voice.
Kreacher's a fun one. So again, cropped up in the fifth film for like a scene. Like he hardly speaks. Seventh one, he's in it a little bit more. And again, I think as well, had they have known what the seventh book was going to do, the character, they'd probably put him in the fifth one a lot more, maybe a little bit in the sixth too. But Kreacher the House Elf, essentially, he's like the villain Dobby. He's actually responsible for Sirius's death. He lies to them, saying that he's not there when he was around the corner, which prompts them to fly off to the Ministry. So really, it's all his fault. Hates Sirius. He worships his the portrait of the mother, and then obviously Regulus was his master, who obviously dies. It's RAB, which the film don't bother fucking mention for no reason. But there's a lot he'll end up doing in the seventh one. So I'm looking at the perspective of I need to sort of cast someone who's got a bit of a growly, evil voice at the same time is actually lovable, but he's just broken. He can't really function because his master, the person he loves, has been killed, and he's never able to forgive himself and blames himself. So I've gone for the anti-Dobby. And thinking of people, who are people obsessed with this, got such a lovely voice that everyone associates with this one perfect ideology these days. So I'm going for the anti-Paddington. I'm putting Ben Whishaw as Kreacher the House Elf. Because it's evil Paddington. It's what they're doing with Sonic 3. And by the end of it, he becomes Paddington because he's lovely. So Ben Whishaw, just literally being an evil Paddington. I'm done. Women in their 50s and 60s will be crying. Imagine Paddington's leading someone to their death because they don't like them.
No, I've not seen Sirius at all, boys. No, sorry.
And he's round the corner when he does it. But yeah, so that's my anti-Paddington joke pick. The problem is, right, I saw a trailer for his new series the other day. Unfortunately, Ben Whishaw has entered the realm of your voice is now solely one character for eternity.
It's just Paddington. You're just Paddington.
His normal voice was Paddington's voice. Like, he's stuck with it unless he does accents. But yeah, I've gone Ben Whishaw as mine.
Now, I really wanted one voice actor. And I'm going to say who it was before I tell you who my actual pick is. But when I was researching, I really wanted no one who had previously kind of been involved in Harry Potter. But I really wanted Ralph Ineson. Just because of the voice and that gravelly, just that evil tones coming through. But
You
he's
could
already
have put
been
him in
there.
it. Yeah, but
could've.
come on, man. The Carrows didn't do anything in that last
I
one. They're just
know.
standing in the background.
I know, but instead I went for the other evil voice that's British, which is Jeremy Irons. So, it's not all bad. Yeah.
I like that.
Perfect. He'll do well.
I've gone for someone that I forgot to mention. I'd quite like the elves to be performance capture.
Okay.
Get the Imaginarium in type thing. I think just so that you've not got like the body's doing weird things when the voice is doing something. So there's an element of a bit like how they did in Guardians, where even though Asim Chowdhury's playing a walrus, he's still on a set with actors. So I'd quite like that. And for that, I was thinking, who's good at performance capture? No, it's not Andy Serkis. Who's good at performance capture? Who's played
Toba.
Who's played a broken CGI character? Who's also got a warmth to him as well? I'm going Toby Kebbell. He could lead Richard Iwadi and Mira Sayao and the other actors because he's done it before. But he's also, outside of Koba, which Koba's one of the great villains of modern movies. I will defend Koba to the death. I think he's great. And I think Toby Kebbell did a great job holding his own against Serkis. If you've seen things like A Monster Calls, where he's playing a much softer role, where he plays the dad, he's able to also play lighter. And that's what you sort of want as well. But you also want someone who can put on a gruff voice and, do the mannerisms of Kreacher. And I think Toby Kebbell would be fantastic in that role.
Especially Dead Man Shoes, which is people
Also
forget
Dead
he's in
Man
that.
Shoes. Yep,
Yeah.
fantastic.
Excellent.
Fantastic in Dead Man Shoes.
Excellent. I'm glad we got some Koba hype.
I love
God, it's
Koba.
so weird. I'm sorry, I'm looking at the placement. I've just gone for like politicians, then 3 house elves. Now we're back to politicians again. The whiplash is quite something. But let's start off with one of the heavyweights, Cornelius Fudge himself.
Fudgy.
A character who is I love this character, if I'm honest. Just a weak, awful politician that's so in love with themselves and their image, and not quite Gilder or Lockhart-esque. And this is where I went with my casting for this one. Apparently, he was in love with the idea of himself, that he used to say how good looking he was and believed he is and can be. So it's almost like not a political Lockhart, but it's a not as extreme Lockhart. So I wanted somebody that can do the politics. The 5th one's important. They're on a crusade against a kid and an old man, afraid that the old man's going to take his job. Bring in the Barty Crouch stuff. Somebody that knows they're only in the role because a political opponent's son ended up being a Death Eater. So there's got to be someone that knows inside. So they're not broken as such. They're arrogant, but there is that spark of reality. And I've gone for someone that I think can play the political game very well. Can play the politician, can do the smiles, the public smiles, great persona, but behind the scenes, can actually be awful, terrible person. And Tayte, you picked him last week. I've got Ewan McGregor in mind. It's a guest role for a couple of episodes, maybe one episode in season 1, one episode in season 2, whatever. He's someone that I think you could get involved. But when you get to that 5th one, when you're actually going to get a lot more of him, and I want to see the downfall, I want to see the reaction. He obviously, when he finds out what happens, he has to immediately step down. He goes AWOL. He doesn't get killed. He doesn't die. He doesn't go to prison. He is just so ashamed. There's no redemption. He just hides for the remainder of the series, never to be seen again. Cast off the face of the earth like a terrible politician. And he'll always be Italian remembered as the person that let Voldemort basically build an army because he didn't believe a child. So I've gone for a big name. I love the political side of it. And my another character I'm going to talk about later was almost my Fudge, but I went a bit younger and on the better looking side.
And I like that pick. I like a Ewan McGregor pick wherever it is.
I wanted longer hair. I want his hair to grow out a bit longer. I'm not thinking short hair. Longer hair, short moustache and beard. Not Kenobi, but enough to have that presence. And does it look like he'd bully a child? Yes. Is he afraid of Dumbledore taking his job? Yes.
So I've gone a very similar route, but I haven't gone young. I've gone older. I've gone with which thespian actor could I pull into this role to be just so up themselves that they would not even care for the opinion of a kid, but is so in love with themselves that it hurts to kind of look at the character. And I've gone with Richard E. Grant because my God, he would just be so in love with himself. He would be so in love with himself. He would ignore Harry so hard.
Yeah. He's got the smile, isn't he? The people pleaser. The I know I'm good looking. What about you type?
But he would just straight up ignore everyone else's opinions and just be like, "I'm Richard E. Grant, fuck you," kind of, you know. So.
Yeah, that is a good shout. I've gone for someone who I definitely could see playing the sort of feckless politician for the most part, because in the early ones he just shows up just to basically officiate things and be a bit annoying, and then you get to that great unraveling of his. Obviously, I also think of that bit in the third one where he, when he's like, "We found your aunt and we deflated her, so that's that." That kind of thing of like, that's that. Like, I blew up my aunt. When you talk about that, he's like, "Yeah, it's fine. Off you go. Have a good one." I've gone for someone who has done political satire, which a lot of the political stuff has been in some of the Harry Potter stuff. There's a lot of satire. But also someone who's done these big budget things, and when he's on his crusade against an old man and a child, you want to see his downfall. I've gone for Tom Hollander.
Nice.
Great in the thick of it. Difficult, lemon, difficult. Great in Harry Potter, in Pirates of the Caribbean. He's so irritating in the Pirates movies. He's so annoying. And recently he played Truman Capote, and he was really great in that. I think he's a great character actor, and I think it'd be quite funny to see him go from a comedic figure to actually, all right, this guy's actually getting on my tits. What are we going to do about this guy that's calling a child a liar?
Excellent. No, I like that. I like that a lot. It's a fun role. I think once you get to 5, it's fun, and kind of following on from Fudge, you get a character who, again, you cast Bill Nighy for essentially 2 scenes when he really should have been cast way before with a lot more to do. I can never pronounce his surname. Rufus
Scrigemour, right?
I've never really known. That's on me. And I remember a great opening of the 7th one. These are dark times. Yeah, and I'm like, I swear that should be the start of the 6th one. That's exactly where it should have been. But he was head of the Aura office, so I can't remember if he's actually in the books before he's appointed. But this guy is Mad-Eye Moody's boss. He is hard as fuck. He's got a reputation. He's very well respected, and I believe his boss before him was Barty Crouch Sr. So it's almost like the Auras end up potentially becoming the leader. And this was one of the quickest casting calls I did for this entire show. I thought, okay, I need someone that's hard up, that you can picture as being in a fight. That you got to think they're hiring a war leader, right? They've got to be able to lead during wartime. So they need to have a presence, physical presence. They've got to have the look, and they've got to have the performance. And I'm going thespian as well. But I was looking at a bit of TV history, and a lot of people know this guy when he has a black leather jacket. And I thought, you know what? Who absolutely reeks of authority? It is by quite a country mile, Christopher Eccleston. I
love it.
It came to me so, and it wasn't like I want a doctor in a role. It was like, who sort of done it all and just is naturally appointed that leader? And the films don't go into this, which I understand again. He dies refusing to give up Harry's location. He knows the Ministry's fallen. It's been done under a coup. But he knows exactly where they are. But he won't tell them anything. And he dies at that moment. And there's a bit of a political games. He tries to, sort of butter up Harry for interviews across the 6th one, trying to, turn face with him, make the Ministry look better. There is a great scene where Harry says to him, is like, by the way, Umbridge was torturing the students and the Ministry still did nothing about it, even with him in charge. So there's a lot of depth to this, and I think this is a character that the series will really, really do well with. And again, Bill Nighy, great casting. But it's like they only cast him because they realised they needed him for the will scene. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, that's my one. I'm very happy with that.
That's a great shout. That is a great shout. I picked this character based purely on the reading of the will, and I was like, who would do a good role of reading the will, be quite straight-edged, following on from Cornelius Fudge, who's very up themselves, a person who really doesn't care about themselves too much and just cares about kind of what's important in the world. I've gone with Hugo Weaving. I know we've already had him as a pick in one of the previous episodes, but he has that grandiose nature to him that could follow up from Richard E. Grant, that was a bit more straight edged and got things done.
Yeah, I like that Eccleston pick more than mine. I struggled with this one, but I've gone with someone who has got presence, has played noble roles, has played less noble roles. I wanted someone that was quite physically imposing, but also slightly older, but not too old. So I mean, at the moment he's doing adverts, which is really weird. I've gone for Dominic West. Love him in The Wire. Loved him in The Affair. Used to love watching The Affair. I think he's got, if you saw him in Tomb Raider, the underrated Tomb Raider movie, when he's in the cave with Lara Croft and he's doing that, he's talking about when she was little. I'm like, I can see that, but in the will scene, I can see him also being like, I'm not backing down. He's got that kind of not pompous attitude, but that attitude of like, I'm thinking of McNulty in The Wire, of like, you want to get Harry, you have to fucking kill me, bring it on. And I can see him doing that, but I think I prefer the Eccleston casting, if I'm honest.
Eccleston was good casting for that.
Came to me out of when it came to that. That's the only role. There's no other role he could do. I mean, he could, but I was like, that's it. It's the Doctor. You think about that series, but he's the Doctor, right? And he's just talking about how he'd gone through war, lived through war, and all that sort of stuff. And I'm like, when I was sat down, I was like, okay, I need like almost an ex-military type of guy, and it's that leather jacket. Not that he'd have that in Harry Potter, but yeah, could you picture him watching like Fudge's Ascension? He'd be like Chief Parasite, top hat in the Wizard Court. A deep cut reference for those that know their social media.
Love it. I love it.
Moving on, we've got a future Minister of Magic, someone who doesn't really get a lot to do in the films. Kingsley Shacklebolt.
Crazy name,
I don't want to say a tricky role as such, but he's an aura. He's working on the underside for Dumbledore. He's got a presence from the fifth form onwards. He's very well respected, but he's going to grow, and you need to really build him up a little bit more. That he's going to become very important later on in a different time. And I don't know this. I do have other actor of colour. I'm very clear that in this episode I haven't had as many, but there is more in the third one, which sounds terrible. We spoke before we hit live, but I feel like I've gone for quite a basic pick, and I actually switched this around with someone who I've got as Pius Thickness in the next one, who's a politician but an evil one. I've gone for Chiwetel Ejiofor. It feels like a really basic pick. I was thinking about, do I want him to play the villainous one in the later ones? Do I want him to play the one in the Imperious Curse? I was like, no, I saw Venom 3. I don't want him as a villain again. I just like to see him be a fucking hero. So thank you, Venom 3. You swap my picks around. I'm very happy to get to... If I hadn't put him in another role, I would have been amazed at who I had before, but he'll serve better later, so I can't talk about it until next week. But yeah, Chiwetel Ejiofor, I know it's a bit of a boring pick, but you can see it playing the political game as well as doing the two-sided. I'm with the Ministry, but I'm with Dumbledore as well. He'd be great at that. Probably a bit too big for the character, but I look at him and think, Minister of Magic, yeah, he could do it.
I've gone with who would I think would be the most brutal and the most kind of, take no bullshit kind of character in this role, which is how I always saw Kingsley Shacklebolt, as a person who, he comes onto the screen, he says a few lines, but, he's got his own agenda, he knows what he's doing and stuff like that. So I went with Idris Elba, and I can just imagine him putting on the full kind of London kind of accent like he does in Luther, and just like...
Luther with a wand.
Yeah, Luther with a wand. Exactly. That's how I'm visualizing it in my head. But yeah,
I love that idea. I've gone for someone who people might not know. One of those, that guy casting. Because he builds up, so he's a bit of a bit player here and there, and then he builds up. And I thought this would be a great showcase for a great character actor who he's always great. He shows up and stuff, and you think, oh, God, he's always good. He's currently in Gladiator 2. He's been in loads of blockbusters. I've gone for Peter Mensa. People probably best know him. He's the guy that says, this is madness, and then gets booted into the deep, deep hole in 300. He shows up in sci-fi, horror, fantasy, everything. I think Peter Mensa is a really good that guy, I know him. He was in such and such. Love that guy. And he's great in Gladiator too. You know, he's got all his scenes are with Paul Mescal, and you believe him as a gladiator. You believe him as a warrior. In those opening battle scenes when he's fighting, you're like, yeah, that guy looks like he could cut a man's head off. And I kind of want that for Shacklebolt. I want someone who, you know, he shows up and people are like, whoa, Kingsley Shacklebolt don't take no prisoners. And I think Peter Mensa deserves a nice, big, consistent role that, you know, could really give him a showcase for his stuff. So I would love to see him in that role.
Excellent. I won't do any Gladiator spoilers, but he is great in the film. The cast, that whole film, great. Out in the time of recording, no, the day this video goes up, it came out in America yesterday, so there could be a spoiler discussion. But yes, very important character in that film. But moving on from Kingsley Shacklebolt, we've got one more politician in us. This is a glorified cameo, the Muggle Prime Minister. And I believe this is the opening to the 5th book or the 6th book. I always forget which one it is.
I think it's the 5th one.
It establishes that British politicians know that magic exists. There is a portrait in the Prime Minister's PM's office that is actually a Hogwarts portrait. So when the Prime Minister is elected, only the Prime Minister ever finds this out. Nobody else ever does. So it's kept hidden. But if there's so much of a problem that it has to come up to the Muggles, if they'd have done it in the films, it would have been the bridge sequence when they just blow up the Millennium Bridge and probably killed dozens. So you've got to think, there's got to be some things like, hey, this explains a lot of things. This is why so many just dead bodies are found with no illness, no nothing explained. It's a spell. So I've gone for an actor who was picked last week, who I've had written down this for ages. It's a glorified cameo. It's a bit of fun. They're going to have a bit of a wobble. Their life's going to turn upside down. Yes, they just got elected as Prime Minister. Now they've got to find that wizards and magic's real, and there's this crazy Hitler guy that's on the rise, and everyone that came before him knew. I put Hugh Grant in mine. It felt like it was going that way. It's not really a politician role. It's a glorified cameo, but it just establishes a bit of, this is why normal people didn't find out what was going on.
Reprising his role from Love Actually.
I've never seen it. Is he play a PM?
Yeah, he's the Prime Minister in Love Actually.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. Looks like I was on it. Still not seen it.
Say, George, that may have to be one of the Christmas films of this year that we're going to have to go through.
I like it, but it's not aged well.
It hasn't aged well. I love it.
I've seen the awful scene of the guy from Walking Dead dropping paper in the window.
Yes, that is one of the many fat jokes. The guy that specifically goes to Wisconsin to have sex. There's a lot of it has not aged well. But
the soundtrack's great.
the bit where Rowan Atkinson is winding up Alan Rickman is hilarious.
Do you know what's really funny? Hilarious that you mentioned him. Rowan Atkinson's my pick for my Muggle Prime Minister.
Oh no! Really?
Yeah. My thought and reasoning was I have to pick the most human or non-wizard person I could think of to be my Muggle Prime Minister. I was like, who is the most normal person in everyday society? Clearly, it's Mr. Bean. We need to get Mr. Bean as the Muggle Prime Minister, because that would be like the most Harry Potter universe thing to happen. So yeah, he's my actual pick.
Imagine him turning his head when he sees the portrait move the first time.
Well, see, my casting for the Muggle Prime Minister is, if this is going to be an opening cold, I imagine this is a cold open to the season. This is your cold open. You could do a good 10-minute cold open before the title comes up. Really a funny sequence. I wanted an actor, a comedian, who could really have just... He's cashing the check, but he's going to have some laughs along the way. Who's great at facial expressions? Who's great at overacting when need be? Greg Davies. I love Greg Davies. Taskmaster, love it. I used to love Cuckoo, the sitcom with Andy Samberg. I think he's very funny in Betweeners, and I can just imagine him doing the I can just imagine him having a complete meltdown at this news. And it's one scene. It's one scene. It's Greg Davies. He has a blast. We all enjoy it, and then the story goes on. But yeah, Greg Davies was my pick.
Nice. So now we're moving into we're in a weird stage. Again, this is the episode, right? Heroes, family, and military officials. We've got Madame Maxine next, you might think, yeah, got a bit of fight. She's got a very important role in the fifth. So Hagrid's tale, which I want that to be a whole episode by itself when the time comes. They can afford to do that. Him and Hagrid and Madame Maxine go off together on their journey to basically get the giants and some of the beasts on the side of Dumbledore's. That's his mission for the fifth one. And I'm going to be really blunt with you guys. I've completely cocked up casting this role because I double casted someone and realised 2 minutes before we went live.
No.
So I have now changed it to what was, I thought, a good... she's going to be in the third episode, and I'll tell you who it is at the time. But I've unfortunately just gone for a very boring... Not boring actress, I've gone for a very boring... I've just picked a French actress I really highly rate. Could she get a bit of a double act going with my Hagrid? I don't know. They're both normal size in real life, so it will be a case of them sizing them up on set, whether they want to do the Lord of the Rings techniques with having them on smaller sets to make them look bigger. I don't care. They're the filmmakers, TV makers in this case. I've put Juliette, but I can never pronounce it, Juliette Binoche from, French legend.
La Binoche.
To shit pick because I picked it 5 minutes before I went live. And even my second choice I've used in the same video, who I'll tell you about shortly, and I wouldn't even take that cameo away. So, yeah, sorry, I'm just going to quickly move on. She's a very well-established French actress, and that's the basis of my pick. So there'll be some angry French people somewhere.
That's okay. I didn't go French, I went British. And not only that, but I went for someone who I thought, okay, I'm going to pick the tallest lady I can think of. And it was one of those where I was like, who's a great actress who has been all over absolutely everything from TV to Eurovision to everything in between recently, who would be a good double act with Nick Frost? I've gone with Hannah Waddingham. Which,
yes, I love that choice.
Oh my god! Like she would absolutely eat him alive, and that's what I love about it.
I love that choice. I wish I hadn't picked her as Madam Hooch now.
I just feel like
she's a better Madam Maxine because I think it'd be funnier.
She would have that presence, wouldn't she?
Oh, that's a great one. Also, no matter how crap her French accent is, it will be even funnier.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I love that choice. She'd go great with Nick Frost as well. Oh man, my choice. I have done a similar thing where I've gone, who's tall? Who's famously very tall? Who's famously like super fucking tall that everybody casts as super tall things? Who apparently to her friends is literally known as big tall Gwendolyn Christie. Yep, yeah, I went that basic. Gwendolyn Christie. Why? Because she's really tall in Game of Thrones. She's really tall in Star Wars. She's really fucking tall. I've gone for such a basic choice.
She was my second choice. I was like, name 2 tall women.
Also, again, I'm a bit like, if she does a really bad French accent, I think it will be all the funnier. Because I can't imagine that she's like great at accents. No offense, Gwendolyn. I think you're fantastic. But I really like the idea.
Class British as well. Like, imagine doing the French accent.
I quite like her just being, hello, I am French.
Oui, oui.
Sounded like a Monty Python character, like Michael Palin. I think that just... But yeah, I went for something really basic. But also, I actually think her and Tom Davis would do quite well as Hagrid and Madame Maxine and, big tall guy.
I have a better pick. I'm not going to put her as mine because I'm too late. I've declared mine. But Sophie Marceau from The World Is Not Enough, I should have gone with.
Oh,
as you can tell, I've been spent the last 10 minutes searching French actresses, and she's got the look. That sounds terrible, but it's a role that it's a glorified return, but she's going to be in the 4th season a lot. Do you know what I mean? And Karkaroff will be in the Dark Wizards one next week as well. That's one I'm actually really excited for too. But next up, we're going to this is going all over the place. We've got Ollivander next, the Wand Maker, who again. Humongous role in the 7th one and the 1st one. You need someone that's going to be around for both of them. Maybe a little bit in between. Oh, he's great. You can't top John Hurt, but
John Hurt. I'm curious, very curious.
I've gone for a thespian, and I've gone for someone who I feel that has never really. I mean, he has made the branch to TV because he's appeared in things like Wolf Hall. He's appeared in Andor, Game of Thrones. But I've gone for a proper, what you guys sort of describe Matt Ryan as, Paul, like, he pops up in a TV show every 5 years or so. I've gone for Anton Lesser, if either of you are familiar with him. I want someone who's on the elderly side, but is a thespian, has a stage presence, and really, it's a glorified cameo in the first one, but one of the most important roles in that. And again, knowing what we know in the future, right, about the wand makers, about the not to go into theorizing, but are they going to bring in the Deathly Hallows a bit earlier? Could there be a logo somewhere in reading Beadle the Bard at an early stage? I don't know, but if they're going to give him a bit more to do, I'd like Anton Lesser. I'm thinking of, I always forget his in-game things, but I'm thinking Andor. Like, but there's a presence, there's a theatrical presence, and again, it's tough to replace John Hurt, but I think this guy is on the right side of John Hurt's. Like, he's playing someone who's a bit on the up himself, but Anton Lesser's a bit of a, I don't know if I like this guy. He's a bit of a creep. He's a bit dark. For Ollivander, who's talking about the Dark Lord doing great things, he's too nice because John Hurt's saying he did great things, but this guy's saying Voldemort did terrible things. Yeah, get him on board. Great actor.
Yeah, no, I like that. I like that a lot.
So I think Ollivander as a pick is actually one of those where you can go in any direction.
Mm-hmm.
And I've gone completely away from what was John Hurt in the film and everything like that. I've gone for David Harewood. I've just gone for pick a
He was
solid
nearly my
actor.
Kingsley Shacklebolt.
Yeah, pick a solid actor who would have that gravitas for the scenes that he's in, really draw people in. He's got quite a soft, kind of but deep voice. And I feel like he would command attention whenever he's talking about wands and be really into it. You know, like, oh, this wand has this core, and have a look at it and, you know, feel it and see it and stuff like that. I think he'd be a scene stealer whenever he was kind of involved in it.
He was my Kingsley, and I'll talk about him next week.
Oh, okay.
He was mine before I saw Gladiator, and I was like, so I've gone for someone who, again, one of those character actors who's part of big stuff people really like. People might know him from Chernobyl or The Batman. I'm thinking someone who's got to deliver a lot of exposition in that first one and deliver some dramatic stuff in the last one. I've gone for Con O'Neill. And he's got such a great voice. His voice is very hoarse when he talks like this. And I think he would be a great addition to the cast when he's doing, you know, his brother gave you that scar. I think he'd be great. And I think he's a great actor. I think he's great. He is underrated. And
he popped up in The Penguin, and everyone's like, the one with the voice.
Him from the Batman, wasn't it? Oh, okay. Yeah, for like 2 minutes. And I was like, hey, Con O'Neill. He's great. He was great in Banana, the Russell T Davies thing. Great in Chernobyl. He's a great actor. And yeah, I think he'd do really well delivering that exposition in the first series, and then coming back in the seventh one to do a bit more of a bit more drama in the seventh one when he's talking about being tortured and all that sort of stuff.
Excellent. I love that pick. I love the Batman doing this as well. I've gone for next up. We've got Xenophilius Lovegood, who again appears in the seventh one, but the Quibbler 5 onwards, you'll hear about him. Can they put him in earlier? Maybe. Do they want to do things? Maybe. It's an interesting one. If they really want to get into politics in that fifth one, they could bring him in earlier. And this is not a role I struggled with. I almost put Rhys Evans and forgot he was already played it once. And then I put another actor. I put another actor who I ended up using in a different role last time, so I had to recast him recently. I'd originally put Paddy Considine, who could have done the Weird Reckoners, amazing. But I've gone for someone else. I've gone for an actor that I was trying to shoehorn in, and I couldn't find a role for him. His wife was in the films, sadly left us far too early. I'm putting Damian Lewis in. Now, I really struggled with this because at one point I was like, Arthur Weasley, ginger hair, not too old, but it's like, Damian Lewis, I wanted a bit more of a scene-stealing moment. Then I thought about some of the Dark Wizards, and I had him listed for a couple. I was like, no, I'd want him to have his moment. And I think with Damian Lewis, maybe because I've heard his terrible singing at the Grand Prix, he's in this almost very interesting stage of his career now, where it's like he's doing the things, not to compare it to Liam Neeson's personal life, but he's doing the things he maybe wouldn't have done 5-10 years ago. And I think, could Damian Lewis grow his hair out? Could he wear a wig and just be a mental conspiracy theorist? Because, yes, he ends up being right in the film that, the Deathly Hallows is this. He's a genuine conspiracy theorist. I'm not talking Alex Jones in Harry Potter, but the Quibbler basically is Alex Jones in Harry Potter. Just gets one thing right every once in a blue moon. And I think Damian Lewis, with the right costume and hair and makeup, could have a lot of fun. And I've just been trying to find a way to get him into the series.
Yeah, sadly, I didn't even think of Damian Lewis for any role, so he's not any of my characters, sadly, but he is a phenomenal actor. This was actually the easiest casting, I think, in my entire list. Across all 3 episodes, this was the one where I was like, of course it's him. Xenophilius Lovegood is Noel Fielding. Noel Fielding is Xenophilius Lovegood. It's not even close. It's not even like I can think of anyone else in the role. It's just him. You don't even have to like change his character at all. It's just throw him.
If they get him, they need to put Mighty Boosh Easter eggs in the background when they go to his house. It needs to just be like the corpse of the crack fox and like the egg of Mantumbi. That's what they need to do. That's really good.
He is the right kind of weird for that role. I genuinely, when I was watching the films back through, all I was picturing was, dear Lord, Noel Fielding really could just be this character. And yeah, it was the easiest pick on the list.
That is good. That is a good one. That is a good one. In fact, that might even be better than my pick because you're so right. I can so see him do it as well, especially when like they attack his house and he's like outside screaming. I could just see it. So I've gone for someone who, again, is no stranger to big budget stuff, is no stranger to TV, and can play kind of crazy but kind of funny. I've gone for Joe Gilgan. This Is England. He played the vampire in The Preacher. He was in Misfits. He's in a great film with Guy Pearce called Lockout, which is Die Hard on a space station. And he plays like this scary villain role. I'm a big Joe Gilgan fan. Used to be in Emmerdale. Eli Dingle. Many people will remember him as Eli Dingle. Brassic. Yeah, Brassic. I think with the regional accent, you give him the long hair, you give him the crazy flamboyant clothes. He's got the face. You could see him going up to Harry at a wedding, being like, "We at the Quibbler believe you. We don't peddle the same lies as the Daily Prophet." You could just see him doing it in that West Country accent. I think he could have a lot of fun in that role. And the minute you see him, you're like, "Oh, there's a guy that's also," because if you meet Luna first. And you get Luna right, because Luna is a fan favorite. People, she is like one of. I think she's the character that when they cast, they're going to have to be very careful because I feel like Ivana Lynch changed how J.K. Rowling wrote Luna. I think she became so linked to that role that I think J.K. even said, "I started hearing her voice." So if you get Luna right, you have to get an actor that's going to match and be like. If you were raised solely by this man, you would end up a little bit nutty. And I feel like Joe Gilgan would do that.
Excellent. You're right. It's an interest. And again, this is a character that... I mean, this is a question I've wondered for ages. Luna is in Ginny's year, so she's the year below. Obviously, no one hears about it till the 5th book. One of my wild predictions, and I actually wouldn't mind if they did this, but then it could be risky. I hope they put Luna in it from Chamber of Secrets. Not because she became a fan favourite, but I get she's not in their year, but there's the presence, there's the Quibbler. I think this is a character, they clearly enjoyed writing it when they got to the latter ones, because she went from sort of friends to, hey, she's really important in the 7th one, she's in the 6th one a lot. I think they could easily develop her a bit slowly from 2 onwards, and then really give her the moments. Yeah, I get why they might have wanted. They might want a more ready actor when they get around to the 5th season. But I have wondered this with Luna. I don't know what you guys thought as a side point, that it's a tricky one because she's almost the most popular character that didn't start from day one.
Yeah, it's going to be. She is very popular and with good reason. She's a great character. I think because she's got that almost. She's a bit like Harry in that she doesn't judge people.
Yeah,
she marries
She marries Newt Scamander's granddaughter, whereas in the films, for some reason, Neville has no crush on her. The 2 weirdos, that'll do. That's literally how they came to doing it in that one.
I do love that bit where she shouts at Harry when Harry's not listening to her. I think that's a great moment of growth for her to be like, I have value. You need to respect what I'm telling you because I'm just as important as anyone else. And I think that's a great moment because as much as Harry is the chosen one, he's nothing without his support network. And I'm interested to see where they go with Luna, because I
The
think she
Silver
is
Trio.
so.
I think what they call it on the Silver Trio is the Golden Trio is Harry, Ron, Hermione. Silver Trio is Neville, Ginny, and Luna. And obviously when the other three are gone, they're at the school. So it is an interesting one. And yeah, Xenophilius is right on board. And speaking of other relatives, we've got another Silver Trio member's relative. This is one of the fun ones. We've got Augusta Longbottom. For those that don't know, it's Neville's nan, who isn't in the films. But for those that want to know, she appears in the fifth one at St. Mungo's. They will meet her for the first time. And she's basically strict, as you'd imagine. She's very proud of her family. She's very proud of her grandson, but she's furious that Neville never told any of them about his mum and dad, that he was either too nervous or too embarrassed to do so. And she's a character you look at the costume, right? Snape wearing it in the third one. He wears the clothes. She actually rocks up to the Battle of Hogwarts to duel the Death Eaters. And I get why, again, you could just chuck her in the film. But I want someone that, okay, you see her in the fifth one, she's going to be welcome in the seventh one, but I want someone that's got an aura, and I want someone that has that, yes, she's a nan, but she's clearly strict, and she might be one of the reasons why Neville struggled. And this is someone I said I doubled up on about an hour ago. I've put Tilda Swinton as mine, because I think she would, if this is the nan to Neville, who's very proud of her Order of the Phoenix child, raises her son to be tough, to be strong, and the son can't live up to his family's expectations in the way his nan puts on him, who's going to wear outrageous clothes that Snape's going to have to wear for a comedic moment? Tilda Swinton. Look no more. I was sold. I came up with that. I know it's sort of two cameos, but I think if she's going to just turn to the Battle of Hogwarts,
Thinking of,
that'd be
have
great.
you seen Snowpiercer? Have you seen the Bong Joon-ho film Snowpiercer?
Not all
Thinking
of
of her in
it.
that, where she's like, "Be the shoe." That's all I can think of is now Neville's mother being like, "Don't rock the boat. Be the shoe."
No, I like that pick. I like that pick a lot. I've gone once again in a slightly different direction. I've gone strict, but I've gone with older, lesser-known actress, known for British TV, darling of British TV for many years. I've gone with Penelope Wilton.
She was my choice for a while, and then I
really,
changed her.
Really. Well, it must be a good pick then. I just feel like whenever I see her, when she pops up in whatever she's in, she is that like strict aunt or that strict nan. She's just that older character. Well, in Doctor Who, she's the Prime Minister, but she's kind of one of those kind
her
of
in the Marigold Hotel movies where she's like the worst type of middle class. Yeah, that was my vision for a period. Yeah.
But no, I love Penelope Wilton, so yeah, throw her in here. She'd have fun with the role.
Like I said, she was mine, and then I saw something, and it changed everything. So I've gone for someone who does telly, who does movies, who is, I would say, I know I realize I say this about a lot of my picks. This actress is genuinely, I would say, one of the best that Britain has ever done. She's done big Hollywood movies. She's done TV. And like I say, it was Penelope Wilton until I sat down at London Film Festival and I watched a little movie called Hard Truths. And I decided I want Marianne Jean-Baptiste as Augusta Longbottom. If you see Hard Truths, she is so venomous, so hard-faced. And also what's great is that she's very short. She's a very small woman, Marianne Jean-Baptiste. Her, in the outrageous clothes, I can just see her chewing people out of it. Yeah. She looks like someone who would rock up to the Battle of Hogwarts being like, where's these Death Eaters at? I could just see her strolling through. You could have a comedic moment with her being like, where are they? And, Neville being like, nan, nan, nan. And she's like, whipping out a wand, killing some Death Eaters. Marianne Jean-Baptiste, I think, would be great. And I would love to see her in this. And I think she'd have a great time. Couple of easy paychecks. And yeah, after I saw Hard Truths, I was like, that's it, I'm sold. I'm sold.
I think she kills a couple of the Death Eaters, like some of the big name ones, which is like insane, but it's great. I love those picks as well. I love them. It's a fun little role, isn't it? And this is where this middle episode is. It's like, yeah, we've not had the villains yet, but we've got some fun characters that are going to crop up. And another one who's going to appear in latter ones. Again, a character you could bring in from the fifth one, who has a way more important role in the seventh one, which, again, when the 7th book came out, they're like, shit, we didn't really put him in the 5th one when we meant to. Mundungus Fletcher, who is basically like Dumbledore's street-level spy. He knows everything that's occurring. He knows what dodgy deals run, what dodgy corners, even though it seems there's only one wizarding street diagonally to find this stuff out. But yeah, he's responsible for Mad Eye's death. He's about to get hit by the killing curse by Voldemort. Disapparates, slap bang, Mad Eye Moody's gone. So he's got to be the ultimate coward. But he's an East End, thief. This sounds terrible because I'm picking a Scouse to do this. I feel like this might be one other people have. Stephen Graham. Get him in Harry Potter.
I've gone with Stephen Graham as well.
Paul, please say round it out.
No.
Ah, come on.
We were close. It's a Stephen Graham. I wanted to get him in Harry Potter. I'm like, who could Stephen Graham play? And he's a great actor. But I was like, you know what? Stephen Graham, I think he can have a lot of fun in a role like this. I think he'd enjoy it. So I put Stephen Graham for Mundungus. Get him in a couple of shows.
Yeah, I want him to keep the Scouse accent as well. I want him to go full Scouse of it. I want him to be just absolutely Scousing it up and people to not completely understand him just because of how Scouse he is. I think that would be a great role. And Dumbledore understands him completely because Dumbledore understands everyone, but other people find it hard because he's gone full Scouse. But what a phenomenal actor Stephen Graham is in pretty much every single role he's in. Not only that, but I want to say from kind of remembering watching Mundungus Fletcher in the film, he's quite a short guy. Stephen Graham's not exactly blessed with height, so I think that kind of stature would help out as well. And you could absolutely see him playing the coward. You could absolutely see him playing kind of the street level know-it-all. I'm thinking his role in Line of Duty was phenomenal for that one series of where he was a snitch, and that was very well played. So, yeah, Stephen Graham. And then whatever Paul picks.
So I've gone for someone who I wanted Mundungus Fletcher to be a bit of a wide boy, a bit of a geezer, a kind of East End of London type. Basically, what I wanted was a bit of a Del boy. Someone that you could imagine is selling crooked wizard shit out the back of a van that happens to have, I know a guy who knows a guy who knows a guy. I kind of wanted that.
Have you gone Jason Statham or someone like that?
No, God no. I've gone for venerable character actor Sean Parks, right? Now, people will probably best know Sean Parks with one or two roles. He is the guy with the flying device in The Mummy Returns. Right? That flies them to the ancient city. He's also in a fantastic Steve McQueen film called Small Axe Mangrove. He plays Frank Critchlow, which kind of connects to Lenora Critchlow's father. He ran the Mangrove restaurant in Notting Hill. Sean Parks is a great character actor, and I would love to see him play, like I say, a bit of a geezer, a bit of a Del boy that's like, well, Dumbledore, I'll help you out, but it's going to cost you a couple of galleons, mate. I want that. And again, someone you can have a bit of fun with because he's a bit of a coward, because he's a bit of a chancer. But I do love Stephen Graham, I will say.
I think it'd be a great pick. I forgot about the Mummy. But yeah,
I love the Mummy Returns. I love the Mummy Returns so much. I
almost had oh god, what's his name? Bet365. Everything. But it's too obvious, too cockney. Neil by mouth. Well, I've forgotten his name.
Ray Winston.
Yeah, I was like, I thought about it for 10 seconds at East End. I was like, no, Stephen Graham will do, thank you.
I almost had, funnily enough, because Sean Parks is in Human Traffic, right? I had the other guy in Human Traffic, who's what's his face?
Yes.
Oh my god, what's his name?
I'm gonna have to look
he's in Danny Dyer. Is it Danny Dyer or whatever his name is? Is that his name?
Danny Dyer. Yeah.
Is that him? Yeah. Proper Cockney,
I would love Danny Dyer in it. Oh, Howie, what's going on? In a nice waistcoat. Just go, oh, you're doing my nutting, mate. Doing my nutting.
Yeah. There's so many you could pick for this. But yeah, it's interesting. But we've got another weird one. Miss Figg, who, again, is well known in the 5th one for coming up to the trial. Casting, they got all pretty much perfect in the film, but this is a character that she is actually mentioned in the first one. There's the weirdo neighbour, Miss Figg. And it's actually built up across a couple of books, the weirdo neighbour. And I'd like them to, not like explore it, but the 5th one's got to be the surprise that, bloody hell, this weirdo all along was actually another one of Dumbledore's spies. Who's actually lovely. She's a squib. like Filch. She's born into a magic family with no magic ability, so would have been shunned from a very early age. And I'm looking at that sheltered lifestyle of who would the Dursleys think's a weirdo? It's just someone that just isn't middle class like them. And I've gone young for this. And this is one of the few times I've really gone against the book. I've gone someone far, far younger. And it's a bit of Game of Thrones alumni. And it sounds horrible saying she's got a sort of funny face of sorts. But I just thought, I was like, who's sort of really harmless that could sort of be really polite and chatting to all the neighbours, but keeping their eyes out for this poor little kid. And he's going, should babysit him when they take Dudley out for the day, things like that. So I went on the young side, and I've put Hannah Murray in from Game of Thrones, and also more X-Skins. And it was weird because I didn't ever think of it, and I was like, she could play, I don't know if it'd be a weird cat lady. I don't know what it would be, but I was like, I think the Dursleys would have more of an issue with a younger person who's a bit weird than an older person who's a bit weird. And I'm playing it up for the Dursley stuff. It's the very innocent, picture her in the court, that sort of thing.
She's been in the news recently, hasn't she? She was,
yes, but I'm ignoring that. That's not why I'm picking her. It's not why I thought of it. I honestly, it wasn't that because I've known about the news stuff.
Cassie from Skins makes perfect sense.
Cassie from Skins, yeah, makes perfect sense. I've
never seen Skins. I just know every actor's come from Skins, which is great.
I mean, my Dursleys. When we get round to them,
I can't wait for the Dursleys.
I'm telling you now, one of them has been mentioned already, but as a different character role. I won't tell you which one, by someone else. But I will say that they kind of fit the mold of they would dislike anyone who wasn't them. And for that reason alone, I've gone with probably one of the most normal actors I could put into this role possible. I've gone with Emily Mortimer as just a normal person, but they would look at her and go, oh, she's weird because she's completely normal.
They'd look at her and say, you're not Sally Hawkins.
Exactly. We don't like you because you're not Sally Hawkins, which hilariously, I did always think about throwing Sally Hawkins into this role as well. And I did weigh up which one would I prefer. And in Paddington, I prefer Sally Hawkins, but in this role, I feel like I prefer Emily Mortimer. So
that's a good shout. I've gone for one that's a bit left field, and this was one of my first ones. This was one of the first ones, like not Dumbledore, like Lockhart, like one of those ones where I'm like, oh, this is a good one. And this is all theoretical. It's a fantasy. This is probably not going to happen. And this casting would irritate the shit out of Voldemort. I'm going for Susie Eddie Izzard.
There we go.
I irritate the crap out of that woman. I don't give a shit. Put a non-binary trans person in it. I don't care. Susie Eddie Izzard is a national treasure. One of the funniest comedians of all time. A great actor, and I think they would have a lot of fun playing the eccentric. I'm a crazy cat lady. Oh, what am I doing? Oh, what am I doing over here? And then actually can do a bit of drama and. It would upset the Gammons, it would upset the Turfs, and, I would enjoy it. And really, all this casting is what would I enjoy? I'd enjoy Izzard in the role of Miss Figg.
That'd be great. It's a fun role. If they really want to push it a little bit more, like Harry, because the opening chapter is like, it's not, the film, it's like, here's the prologue, here's Dudley's birthday. The opening episode could really spend. Sorry to sidetrack, but I want the opening episode to basically be an episode with the Dursleys and Hagrid turns up at the end. And it follows Harry's day to day. Like he'd have a shit haircut, and the next day he'd wake up and his hair was the way it always is. And once he magically transported to the roof of his primary school and got stuck there.
I want the end of episode 1 to be the door caving in and Hagrid walking in, and not even him. Anything. It's just his silhouette and the looks on their faces, and then cut to credits. That's what I want the end of episode 1 to be.
And I think if they do that, we can really get a bit more of that. Not the Dursley stuff, but if you want to bring Mrs. Figg in now, that's why I put her in this video. You can put her up in the second, have a fleeting cameo in the third one, looking out a window as Marge blows away.
I wonder, could you have her when they're taking Harry to Privet Drive? Could you have her just peeking out of the window and then just closing back in again?
Picture Aunt Marge blowing up. You just cut to a cameo of someone for one day just looking out of a window. That it's a great little twist is that she's a squib all along, and she's been there the whole time on Dumbledore's orders. So again, that's the sort of thing that comes full circle as time goes by. It's a fun little role. But now we're moving into a tricky trio. as such. We're gonna do the Tonks family. So we're gonna start with Nymphadora Tonks. I should have put, of course, the main Tonks that we all know. The daughter of Andromeda, daughter of Ted, niece of Bellatrix and Narcissa. For those that don't know that side of it, so she obviously changes her hair a lot. She ends up with Lupin, and I had a bit of fun with this. There's one thing I get why it's not the film's fault, but I never really bought the Tonks and Lupin relationship because I understand that they didn't have the time to really develop it on screen, especially in the film. It's like deleted scene. Like, what about Teddy? He'll sleep sound until the sun rises. Complete waste of time in that. So I'd like them to really try and develop Tonks a bit more. She's a very young Aura. She's worked directly under Mad-Eye. He very rarely took on like an apprentice of sorts, but this was the person that he was going to teach everything to. And she's school-wise, I think she left a couple of years before Harry started. So the age gap it's maybe 7 or 8, maybe 8 or 9 years or something, right? And obviously you've got to think of Lupin at this point in time. It's not 10, 15 years older than what he should be, although mine is. But she's got to be able to have a relationship with Lupin at the same time as mentoring Harry, at the same time as having those ridiculous wild haircuts. This was before all the hype of We Live in Time. I'm putting Florence Pugh in. Get her in. Yes, her and Andrew Garfield can get together again. It's the hair. You want a new hairstyle every week? You get Florence Pugh. Will she do it? She definitely seems like the type that would be in Harry Potter if the chance came. Absolutely.
Have you seen that meme on Twitter where it says, "I like when Florence Pugh does"?
She dressed up as herself from Midsummer for Halloween, didn't she? Absolute legend. I think she'd have a lot of fun, and I think she'd want a role like this.
She's a confident queen. I love her. I love Florence Pugh.
I love her so much. Get her in this.
So very quickly, you picked Andrew Garfield as your Lupin, right?
Yeah, Garfield's my Lupin, and Florence Pugh's
Andrew Garfield was my Lupin. You picked Florence Pugh as your Tonks, right?
So
I have also picked Florence Pugh as my Tonks.
Perfect.
It's just the perfect couple at the perfect time for this, at least. But she is that kind of can play the radical type that, you know, kind of you can imagine her hair changing colors. You can imagine her being friendly to Harry, and you know, just being that person. I can also imagine her kind of having a good relationship with my Mad-Eye. You know, it's a great pick, you know. And it's going to be ruined once again by Paul by not picking Florence Pugh in this role.
And show the deaths this time. I'm going to moan about this a lot in the next episode.
For me, I've gone for someone who, you know, quite a few of Tonks' scenes is her listening to people talk or reacting to things. And, you know, who's going to act well with Paul Mescal, you know, in my cast? Who can I see going out with Paul Mescal? Who can I see being sort of taken under the wing of Mr. Peter Capaldi? I've gone for not an A-lister. I've gone for but someone who shows up in loads and is great. I've gone for Sonoya Mizuno. She's an actress. You may know her best as the dancing robot from Ex Machina. When I'm going to tear up that fucking.
Sorry, I thought you were about to say Daisy Edgar Jones.
No, God, no.
That's why I laughed.
Oh no. Sonoya Mizuno from every Alex Garland thing. She's also the bride that's getting married in Crazy Rich Asians, which is great.
Yes.
So she can do fun. But really what I'm thinking is her as that robot in Ex Machina dancing. I like to party, everybody does. I think she's great. She's a wonderful actress. And what I'm kind of doing with the Tonks thing is, you know, again, because we're going to talk about Andromeda in a second, it's very subtly talking, you know, using the casting to make those metaphors of half-bloods and pure bloods and mud-bloods. So by having an Asian actress play Tonks, and it will make sense when you see my Ted Tonks, kind of just very subtly visually telling people maybe someone gets excommunicated because they stray from the path of magic is a little bit similar to when you stray from the path if you're a white family. Maybe back in the day, if you married, you know, an Asian man. So it's a ham-fisted way of making that metaphor more palatable. But also, Mizuno's a great actress. She shows up in all. She's great in Devs as well, which was an Alex Garland thing. But it really is that dancing robot dancing with Oscar Isaac that I chose her.
I love that pick. I mean, we're talking Andromeda's next, so this is a really tough one because again, she doesn't crop up in the films, but there's a lot of again that goes on with the books with the history of Tonks. When he gets the black side of things, she's the middle sister between Narcissa and Bellatrix, so it's like the middle child syndrome, and it is all because she gets with Ted. Now, this might come in play like what we did in Marauders, right? You're playing this family, and the vision comes clear when you see all of them. So Andromeda, for me, I've gone. They're from that elite, established British family for Andromeda, and I really like the family I've cast. That sounds really snobby, but I do. But for Andromeda, I've cast Gemma Arterton. Now,
Okay.
she doesn't have anywhere near as much a role as the other sisters, but I want her to stand out for differing reasons. And this is going to sound a bit creepier. I want her to also be the best looking of the three, which sounds a bit gross to say on the stream. But I've not picked ugly people for the others in like a really disgusting way. But it's very much like they've got jealousy of her, and that jealousy is going to go to anger when she doesn't choose to stay within the family lineage. That's what I'm going with for mine, and it will become clearer on episode 3. But I hope that makes sense. But Gemma Arterton, I think she's underused a lot across stuff these days. I think she's at the point in her career where a very small supporting role, not needed too much, but the scene she's going to get, there's going to be some importance. You've got the death of Ted's. The daughter as well is going to be a rough one. So it's a very tricky character that I think I'd like to get her a bit more screen time.
Did you want to do Ted at the same time, just so we've got that couple comparison as well?
Yeah, my Ted's a tricky one. It's a character I struggled with. The most well-known thing about him, he's from a Muggle-born family. He's a mudblood, as they'd say. Again, the Blacks hate him, disowning the daughter for marrying into him. But there's got to be like a natural charm about him. And my age gap's not great. That's my only biggest fear. I'm looking at who could be Tonks' dads. You've got the mum side of things, the family heritage, but who could play the dad well? And I want someone that's slightly more of the comedic side of things. I put Simon Pegg in. Again, I'm not sure about age, but I'm looking. Sounds really bad. I'm more thinking about him like the boys, that his like innocent death comes from. You know, this guy gets killed by the Snatchers. He's on the run in the 7th one because he's not born to wizarding folk. He's on the run for the entire film. He's actually with Dean Thomas. He's got an important part to play, and they found out he dies via the radio. So he's not going to be in it much. It's a fleeting cameo, but I'm looking more at the Florence Pugh side, like who could be her mum and dad. The posh upper class British lady, absolutely, and the funny comedic wise guy that's got a natural charm that the mum's going to fall for. Simon Pegg. There you go. Again, I don't know about the age gap, but that's what I'm going with.
I kind of took a similar-ish route with both of my picks as well for Andromeda Tonks and for Ted Tonks. I'll go with Andromeda first. So with Andromeda, I definitely went down a route. I knew exactly where I wanted to get my actors from, at least kind of what TV show, and I was just picking the right actor. I ended up going with Sian Clifford, who I loved in Fleabag as the sister in Fleabag, because Andromeda Tonks is known as the sister, is known as the middle child, is known as the kind of that character. And I think she's a great actress. That's the only reason really why I put her in that role. There isn't really much to it. I didn't really think about it too much. I'll think about it a bit more later, and we'll go back round to it when we go into our picks for the other members of the Black family later on. Especially when we get into some of the darker wizards as part of that family. As far as Ted Tonks is concerned, I went the same route as you. I wanted a comedian. I wanted someone who was actually quite normal and quite ordinary. So I went with David Mitchell, who, you know, is
every time
great.
he's on screen, can it do the peep show?
He's having like the David Mitchell renaissance right now. I mean, I've heard very good things about
drama,
Ludwig.
isn't he?
Ludwig's meant to be very good. Peep Show is fantastic and is doing great on streaming. He's brilliant. So yeah.
As long as it gets one bit when he's with Dean Thomas and it does the Peep Show, great. Now I'm stuck with children. I don't know what I've done wrong.
Imagine he was a Death Eater.
You cretin, you fool. It was a joke, Ted. It was a joke. I love that. So, obviously, we'll get to the other two sisters next time. But I had to think of someone who would break away from the mold, who would be kind of the other member of the Black family to kind of have a nobility about them. You know, if Sirius is a hothead, who's the one that would break away and kind of fall in love with, you know, somebody that's a mudblood? And I've gone for someone who is a venerable character actress and somebody I personally think is gorgeous. I've gone for Sally Phillips, who everything she's in, particularly Bridget Jones. There's such a warmth to her. I think she could do really well. Once you see my picks for her sisters as well, you could kind of see her as being one of the sisters, but being removed from that. And obviously, I picked Sonoya Mizuno for Nymphadora. My Ted Tonks is Benedict Wong, because I think he's a great actor. Love him in the Doctor Strange movies. I love him in everything I see him in because he's always good, and he's one of those actors who's just been working and working and working for years and years and years. And I think he could get some, again, not a big role, but the two of them together I think would be quite good, and then he'd get some nice business to do in sort of the final seasons.
Excellent. And everyone forgets he's a Londoner as well. So people always... Did he pop up in Peep Show as well at one point? Or was it one of the other sitcoms? He's popped up in a lot of British sitcoms.
He used to be in Peter Serafinowicz's show a lot.
IT Crowd, the countdown one, isn't he? He's in that classic.
He props up in loads of, if you watch stuff from like the mid to late noughties, he's in a lot. You're like, oh, he was in this as well.
That's a great
Love
that. Right, we're in the final three. We got Aberforth Dumbledore next, the brother of Dumbledore, who again was not known until the last book. At this point, he's in them from Hogsmeade onwards, so you could really cast him from season 3 onwards to have a fleeting role every now and then. Again, another essentially Dumbledore's spy, but this is a character who's got a bit more depth. He's lived with the fact that his sister was killed all those years ago, that his brother's still unknown as to whose responsibility that is, but he's essentially lived his life in the shadow of his brother. And for stupid reasons, thanks to Fantastic Beasts, Ezra Miller's his son. Yep, that's right. The secret Dumbledore that was Aberforth's son. We're ignoring that for this series. I am going for an actor that has a presence, but I want it to be quite commanding, and I want it to be not a twist as such. But I think when the iron comes down and the last one's like, "Oh, he's Dumbledore's brother," yeah, I could actually see it all along. But I've gone for someone who's a bit more stubborn, a bit more not up themselves, but a bit more proud. And I'm putting Ian Glennon, who I think matches the Kenneth Branagh vibe that I'm going with. Obviously very different, and people always know him as the right-hand man to Daenerys in Game of Thrones, but I think if you get the beard on him, a bit of longer hair, can you see him working behind the bar for decades? Yeah, absolutely. Listening to all those students for the odd important bit of info to feedback to his brother? Yep, absolutely. Lives his life in regret of what he may or may not have done to his sister, which remains unknown? Absolutely, he could do that too. So that's a pick I'm very happy with. I think he was one of the favourites for Dumbledore, which would have been very odd, like bookies and stuff. But I think for Aberforth, he could do a great job. Come in every couple of years for a couple of scenes, and then he gets a big role in the 7th one, his redemption and whatnot. So that could be an interesting one. Maybe too big a name for a role that small. It's meant to be a twist, though.
I'm not a big fan of my Aberforth pick, purely out of the fact that he has 0. You could not see him being my Dumbledore pick of Stephen Fry. You absolutely could not see him being his brother. And maybe if I'd have moved things around, it would have worked out better. But I had to have this actor in here somewhere, and I didn't know where to put him. He was my Ollivander for a short while, but Timothy Dalton has ended up as my Aberforth Dumbledore.
Excellent.
Which
he was mine when I had Pierce Brosnan as Dumbledore. He was my Aberforth, but it's changed now.
There's no way that you could imagine him and Stephen Fry being brothers. That's the only thing that... No, not even slightly. So it's like... it's one of those where it's like, I needed him in a role, but he doesn't quite fit the Dumbledore. So, I mean, the character's described as being wiry, thin, and, a shell of his former self. Maybe we can work with Dalton, grey his hair a bit, and make him out to be looking slightly different, and maybe that'll benefit. But yeah, I needed Dalton in there somewhere. He's a phenomenal actor, but yeah, not quite.
So my one, I've gone for somebody. If we remember, I picked Hugh Laurie as Albus Dumbledore. Who do you pick for Aberforth Dumbledore? Do you maybe give them some scenes together? Do you maybe reunite the greatest comedy pairing in the United Kingdom ever and give it to Stephen Fry? Yes, you do. You make him Aberforth because we love Stephen Fry, we love Hugh Laurie, and we want to see Fry and Laurie back on screen as brothers. Give them some stuff to do, a couple of scenes in the last series. I know that he's described as wiry, but I also think, quite apart from the joy of Fry and Laurie back together, which I think would be great. I think for people that love British comedy, be like Fry and Laurie back together, the best mates, and I think they'd have a good gas. I think what I would want is all the it's kind of metacasting, all the struggles that Stephen Fry has had and has been very, very open about. He's been very open about his bipolar, about his attempts at taking his own life. Sorry to bring it down a bit, but I think he could bring that weight to Aberforth. And when he shows up, again, for those who don't know the story, when he shows up as just the guy that runs the bar in Hogsmeade, you'd be a bit like, that's nice, Stephen Fry's in an episode doing his, hello, I'm Stephen Fry, I'm the smartest man in the world, butterbeer, is it? That kind of thing, doddering about, you'd enjoy it. And then when he goes, I'm actually Dumbledore's brother and I've been spying on you and I've got this deep regret, you'd be like, oh. And I'm thinking of his performance in V for Vendetta, because he doesn't do a lot of acting. He is more of a personality, but he is a good actor. I'd say he's a great actor. And that's those scenes in V for Vendetta, when he shows her the Quran, when he shows her all the sort of gay images that he has, and he says to Natalie Portman, you wear a mask for so long you forget who you were beneath it. I can just see that in a scene with Harry and Ron and Hermione. I can just see Stephen Fry bringing that gravity, but also in the earlier stuff, just being a fun little, everybody loves Stephen Fry. Who doesn't love a bit of Fry? So, mine's Stephen Fry, and I think, again, write some scenes for him and Hugh Laurie to reunite and have some business together.
I completely agree, and we will come back to this at a later point.
Oh, I know who your Grindelwald is. There we go. Sorry, spoiler.
That's a massive spoiler that's just been completely spoiled. But I mean, yeah.
Sorry, my brain. I was like, wait, you've not got Hugh Laurie as Arthur Weasley, even though that would have been a 101 Dalmatians link.
Yeah.
But yeah, oh god, I mean, Weasleys are next. If I'm honest, guys, one of the toughest bits of casting this entire thing. Julie Walters, Mark Williams, perfect. The real parents to Harry, the two people that raised him, the only normal parents he ever encounters, the only normal family within Hogwarts. They put their kids before their work, before their family name. They don't care about the heritage, the pure blood side of things. They believe in what's right. And I think we'll get Molly Weasley fleshed out a little bit more. And I've actually changed my actress since we started recording this. And I've not gone for a redhead, but she'll dye her hair as per the rules. But if I do Arthur first, it's a really safe, boring pick. I believe his name's been thrown around a lot. He's the right age. You got to think, they've birthed Ginny, Ron, Fred, George, Percy, Charlie, Bill. 7 kids. They've all been born before the series begins. So it's one of them where they got together young, had their kids young, and have continued to have loads of kids. And so I'm looking for people in their early 40s, if I'm honest. I like the idea of like the school heart, sweethearts. And for those that don't know, Molly's 2 brothers were killed by Death Eaters. She didn't partake in the first Wizarding War, but her twin brothers were killed. So she has a very vested interest in being involved in the second one alongside her own children's future. So there's a bit more backstory they can go into. But Arthur Weasley is one of the favourites. And I'm picking a technically Irish actor who has technically already appeared in Harry Potter. But you know what? He popped up for 2 scenes, and it was completely pointless by the time they cast him. Let's bring in Domhnall Gleeson to play Arthur Weasley. Get him in all 7 films. You're not going to be Mark Williams. I love Mark Williams so much in these. He is one of the most perfect bits of casting in those films. Both parents were. If we want to double do them, So I've got Donald Gleeson as Arthur Weasley, and I changed this at the start when we hit record. I've got Sophia Di Martino as Molly, who people will know from Loki. And actually, she's a little bit older than you guys think, and she's had kids in real life, which is very interesting. So
she's in a really interesting documentary about postnatal psychosis called Witches, which was playing at LFF.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's very interesting. If you get a chance, it's to do with how society's idea of witches is linked to the female psychosis that happens after pregnancy, and she's in it. She talks about her pregnancies, and having seen that, I see the vision.
It's one of them where I thought I need a maternal figure, but I actually need someone that can do the discipline side. And I know obviously Loki's the main thing she's been. I think she's fine in Loki. I didn't love Loki as much as anyone else, but I just keep seeing photos of her, and you look at it, I see the mother figure. I see the strict mother, the loose mother, the one who's going to fight for her daughter's survival come the end of it, who, you know, one of the best scenes in the entire book series is it the Grimmauld Place in the fifth one, where she can't get rid of a boggart. She has a breakdown, and because when the boggart opens, it just rotates between the dead bodies of all of her children, husband plus Harry. So she's got to be able to do that emotional side of the performance. And again, you're not going to be able to do Julie Walters again. So I think you go not younger. It's a bit disrespectful, but I'm looking at the pairing, and do I see Donald Gleeson standing by her side? Yes, I do. Whereas the actress I had before, I didn't. I just saw it as, she matched the description, whereas this time I've gone for the couple chemistry. Can they look like they've had 7 kids and raised those 7 kids and are doing what they can for them? I think so. And I'd be really interested.
Now, I actually have 4 names on my screen here, and it's a coin flip. So I'm going to let you two decide. Do I go with the pair that's probably too old for the role, or the pair that's probably too young for the role? Because those are my 2 choices here.
I mean, they've got 7 kids, so I'm curious. You picked 8. Yeah, go for the ones that are too old.
I'll go for the ones that are too old. I'll mention the ones that are too young. So my 2 young ones were a person who looks older than they actually are, which is Callum Scott Howells from It's a Sin and other things, and Saoirse Ronan playing Molly Weasley. The people I'm actually picking are probably, one of them is the most boring pick because everyone puts him in a fan cast. It's Martin Freeman. He is just Arthur Weasley. It's boring. It's so boring, but it's Arthur Weasley.
It's a good
great pick, just because it's him. And for my Molly Weasley, I think you can match Julie Walters in a way. You can definitely make the character funnier, and you can bring in one of Britain's best comedians in Catherine Tate to play the role, who is, can act, bring in that natural redheadness as well, and would probably make a really good kind of couple with Martin Freeman. Yeah. They would have so much fun on screen, and they seem like the kind of normal family that would raise a family of 7 kids and have them all wizards and have them all, wearing matching sweaters and stuff like that. So that's my pick for Arthur and Molly.
I like that. So for my ones, I've gone, I'm also thinking it's the juxtaposition against the Malfoys. The Malfoys are sort of middle-class poshos, very up themselves, one child that they spoil rotten. What's the opposite of that? Well, they've got a rundown house. They've not, the kids all wear second-hand clothes, hand-me-downs. They've not got a lot of money. Arthur is interested in muggles. He's got a shed full of Muggle crap. It's those kind of things that I wanted to go for. So I wanted to go for a more working class actor for Arthur. That also I would like to see have a bit of a standoff with who I've picked for Lucius, because that bit in Flourish and Blots where he's like,
that's actually a fist fight, isn't it?
Yeah, and I kind of can see this person being that way. And so for Arthur, I've picked Daniel Mays, phenomenal actor who, great actor, Maiden Dagenham and countless other things, because I could just see him sitting down at a breakfast table and be like, "Who are you?" Just you're like, "All right, what's this one now? What's the rubber duck do?" Like, I could just see those sort of things. But he's also got the gravity to when there's the darker stuff that happens in like Order of the Phoenix when he's nearly murdered, and when you start ramping up towards to the final battles, I can still see Daniel Mays being like, Nobody fucks with my family. That's my family, and Harry is an extension of that. And for Molly Weasley, I wanted someone who can do dark, can do, like you say, that breakdown scene where she sees the boggart. I want someone who can play that, but can also play warmth and joy and be funny. But I want someone who, is also a stern authority. I'm thinking as well of, that bit where Sirius goes, he's not even your son. She's like, well, he's as good as. And so I've picked Jessica Gunning because we've seen that she can do the darkness in Baby Reindeer. I know you picked her for someone else. But we've seen in Baby Reindeer, she could do that. So I can see her having an absolute meltdown because she's seen a boggart of Ginny or Ron or whoever. But I'm also thinking, if you ever saw the film Pride, about lesbians and gay support the minors, she plays one of the villagers who is actually buoyed by these LGBT people in her community. And the character she plays is a real life person who actually went on to become the first woman to be a member of parliament for Wales. And all through the film, she's got this kind of warmth and strength about her where she's like, doesn't matter if they're gay, they're trying to help us and we're going to help them. And I can see that in Molly, that kind of, doesn't matter if you're pure blood, half blood, no blood, it's all the same. And I can just see the two of them playing quite well, that kind of working class thing. And also, we know she could do comedy because of Outlaws, which is such a lovely show.
Yeah.
It's such a lovely show.
I had her, but it didn't match with Donald Gleeson. That's where I opted. but the Daniel Mays is great because I think he's one of those actors where he's sort of flown under the radar for so long. And when he's been in the Hollywood stuff, it's been glances, but we've not really been able to see him properly.
He popped up at the start of Rogue One, didn't he? Yeah.
Well, exactly. And he probably should be in Andor. Just getting excited.
Probably will be in Andor.
Maybe we'll find out what happened to his leg.
Hope so, because Daniel Mays is a great actor as well. Anytime he shows up, anytime he shows up,
very good in Line of Duty.
Line of Duty as well, yeah. And so again, I can see him doing the comedy stuff of what's the function of a rubber duck, but I can also see even that thing where he's like, who, the whole thing he does in the Leaky Cauldron in Azkaban, where he's like trying to explain the history of Sirius Black without upsetting Harry too much. I think he could do that really well.
Excellent. I love those picks. And it's a good varied one. And it's going to be fun for next week because this does round out today's episode. We've done the heroes. We've done the ministry officials. But next week we get the villains and the dark wizards, which is going to be a lot of fun. Unfortunately, I'm going to apologise in advance. That is going to be when I start waffling about the books a lot more because there's a lot more characters than you guys think. If you're not too familiar with the text, you won't think there's too many, when actually there's a hell of a lot next week. We're also going to be looking at the Dursleys, which is exciting. We've got the Gaunt family, for those that are unfamiliar with those, and a couple of other sporadic ones. So we're going to be back next Saturday. I hope you've enjoyed this second episode. There is, as I said, more to come with this. We'll have more details, obviously, on the socials. We haven't done any clips yet, but we hope it rounds out. But as I said before, I do want to hear from people, so please do comment your picks for who you'd like to see playing any of these roles today. Have we missed any obvious ones out? Do let us know, but it is something that, as I said, over time, over the next few months, next few years, we'll start to see who's going to play these sorts of characters. And that's exciting too. Before we head off, though, Paul, I know we had you on last Saturday, but what are you up to this week? You've joined the Blue Sky Revolution as well?
I am part of the Blue Sky Revolution. I'm there, Paul Klein, like all my socials. I'm there. I'm doing the same old shite I was doing at the bad place.
I'm doing the same on both. Those scheduling makes all the difference in the world.
We will get to our mandated Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Scooby Doo, Coyote Ugly, Lion King spam. It's in the post. Don't worry. When Mufasa comes out. Mute me, people. Mute me. Those last 2 weeks of December, mute Paul and Blue Sky. You're not going to enjoy it. It breaks canon. I'm going to become a Star Wars nerd for talking lions, honestly. It's not the canon of the cartoons. Anyway.
Everyone, please do follow, though. It's been great to get you on again and on this series as well. So a massive thank you. I'm trying to think what else is coming out this week. Wicked's out this week.
Oh, boy.
2 hours 40 for a film that they're too scared to call part one. I've never seen it. I don't know anything about the musical until this morning on a WhatsApp group, and now I feel like I've learned everything. So that review will be out. There's Moana next week. There is a few big releases. Sonic's next month, Mufasa's next month. There's a lot of things happening. So when there are reviews, we'll obviously get them up on our social media feeds. Skeleton Crew's coming soon. That's a reminder too. Star Wars is coming back to get into that. So there'll be a lot more things happening. If you want to find out about other videos, what else we're working on, go get us on linktree.com. You can find our Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd, and Blue Sky on there. And for those that are curious, comment your thoughts, let us know. We'll be right, we'll be wrong. Maybe come back to us in 3 months' time. They've cast some of these people. Who knows? We'll know. But until then, thank you all for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. Take care.